Good afternoon, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here. Wanted to give an update on our forecast. Now that most of the rain has moved out of the way, we have some much cooler air that's going to be moving in over the next few days. But for the time being, it's still muggy and it is still a little humid outside. Now, we did pick up a good bit of rain today, which was much needed. It was a little bit less than what we had originally thought, but that's not all bad. Even though we needed some rain around here, we didn't want to deal with the flooding issues. And thankfully, as far as I know, we were able to handle most of the rainfall that we saw. So let's take a look at some of those rainfall totals that we got over the past 24 hours. Now, some spots in Hancock County did end up getting over 3 inches of rain, but for the most part, many of us picked up roughly anywhere from 1 inch up to 4 inches. Close to it in some isolated spots. The exception to that really was Pearl River County. Didn't quite see as much rainfall into the Poplarville area, but across the board, we did get a good soaking rain, which again was needed across the board here in South Mississippi, especially in Stone and George County, where we've been seeing more significant drought conditions. So hopefully, the rainfall didn't cause too much of an issue in terms of flooding. Now, we did see some coastal flooding early this morning, but now that we are getting into low tide or just coming off of low tide, hopefully some of that coastal flooding has begun to recede. A lot of the rain has moved out of the way at this point. Rain chances are looking pretty slim heading into the afternoon. It's still going to be warm and muggy until that cold front pushes through completely. That may not happen until late this afternoon and early into the evening. As far as I can see, we're still warm in Gulfport, sitting at 78. We've got a dew point of 74. So as you step outside, you'll still notice it feeling kind of sticky, kind of humid, but that's not going to be lasting too much longer. By the end of today and into tonight, the humidity is going to drop dramatically. Temperatures right now, for the most part, still in the low to mid 70s, some upper 70s, a little bit closer to the coast. We still have a good bit of cloud cover in place, but I do expect to see a little more sunshine later today. And on satellite, I can tell that some of those clouds are beginning to thin out. And as they continue to do so, we're not going to see as much cloud cover, and that will lead into more sunshine later today. And we can see that in parts of Louisiana, behind the cold front, they are seeing plenty of sunshine. So the first cold front, that's moving in later today, and we can see a lot of that rainfall ahead of it. That will continue to move off towards the east. We have another cold front that will be moving in tomorrow. No rain expected with that, but that second cold front is going to be the one that really drops our temperatures, and we can expect a huge drop in temperatures by Thursday morning. So the first front cooling us down, will be in the 50s by tomorrow morning, but by Thursday morning, we're looking at lows in the 30s and 40s. And we can see that cooler air, that much cooler air to our north and west, 38 in Denver, 37 in Salt Lake City, 51 up into Omaha. And we are looking at that front helping to draw in that much cooler air by the end of tomorrow. But even for today, drier air is beginning to move in, and we can see that tropical moisture starting to push off towards the east with all of that rainfall. So again, a big drop in our humidity is expected later today, and an even bigger drop in humidity is expected Wednesday and into Thursday. It's going to be much drier at that point. But right now, it's still pretty humid. We have dew points in the low to mid 70s in South Mississippi. That's typically what we find during the summer months. So even though it's not too terribly warm or hot outside, that higher humidity doesn't quite make it feel like fall at this point, but not too far to our west. We're seeing dew points in the 60s and up into Shreveport, Lake Charles. They're seeing dew points in the 40s and the 50s, and eventually that drier air will work its way in by the end of the day. So a lot to look forward to, at least in my opinion. If you're not a fan of this warm, muggy weather, we've got a big change on the way within the next 24 hours. So Futurecast continues to show those clouds clearing out by the end of the afternoon, just before the sunset. Hopefully we'll get a good view of the sunset this evening. And if we do see a little more sunshine today, we may briefly warm up into the upper 70s and low 80s, but that's not going to last very long. That cold front works its way through later tonight. Cooler, drier air moves in by Wednesday morning, and it looks like many of us will be able to drop down at least into the upper 50s, maybe some mid 50s a bit farther inland. Then that second cold front moves throughout the day on Wednesday, and that's the one that's really going to bring that significant drop in temperatures. So starting off Wednesday morning in the 50s, some spots may only warm up into the upper 60s tomorrow afternoon, despite seeing a lot of sunshine. That mainly goes for inland areas. We're still forecasting high temperatures in the low 70s, a little bit closer to the coast. But that second front is going to bring in cooler air and even chilly air by Thursday morning. And check it out. Some of us may drop into the upper 30s just before the sunrise on Thursday. Factor in the wind and the wind chill. Haven't had to talk about that in a while. The wind chill is going to be dropping into the 30s even on the coast. Low temperatures by Thursday morning even on the coast are going to be in the low 40s. And we are finally looking at below average temperatures by the end of the week. It seems like it's been a while since we've had that coming up. So again, a big change in our weather over the next 24 to 48 hours. We can finally wear your sweaters, your sweatshirts, and your boots, especially if you're going to be out and about late in the night and early in the morning. Now, by Thursday afternoon, still looking pretty cool, especially from what we've been seeing here lately. We're looking at high temperatures on Thursday, staying in the 60s. We'll keep that breeze out of the north and west. It's not going to be as windy by Thursday afternoon, but even a little bit of a breeze may make it feel just a bit cooler at times. Like I've been talking about, big drop in the humidity expected late tonight. Those dew points in the 70s are going to be long gone by Wednesday morning. It's going to be very comfortable tomorrow morning with dew points in the 50s. I will say, though, we are expecting some much drier air by the end of Wednesday and into Thursday. So if you're prone to getting dry skin, maybe some chapped lips, heads up, the air is going to be much, much drier Wednesday and into Thursday. And with that wind, that's also going to maybe cause a little more issue if you have dry skin, or again, if you're prone to getting chapped lips. So a heads up on that. I know I personally can relate to that. I typically get dry skin during this time of the year. And with dew points in the low 30s and upper 20s, it's really going to be drying out quite a bit. And we'll see that drier, cooler air stick around Thursday night and also into Friday. These high temperatures over the next couple of days are going to be staying in the 60s, or I should say by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So the wind will be dying down a little bit more this afternoon. However, it will be picking back up overnight tonight as that first cold front pushes through the area. We'll see wind shifting out of the north and west, and then that second cold front moving in on Wednesday is really going to make our winds pick up out of the north and west. We could easily get some gusts tomorrow over 25 to 30 miles per hour. And I know a lot of people already have their Christmas decorations outside. Just a heads up, you may need to secure those a little bit more tomorrow as that wind picks up once again out of the north and west. But speaking of Christmas decorations, you know what? It may finally feel a little bit more like winter time by the end of tomorrow and into Thursday. And with that strong breeze out of the north and west, it also could cause it to feel a little bit cooler by the end of Wednesday. Now for today, we're still seeing a bit of that breeze, especially over the water out of the south and southwest. We do have a small craft caution in effect over the sound throughout the afternoon. Small craft advisory remains in effect offshore today. Tonight, though, with that wind picking up more out of the north and west, a small craft advisory will be in effect for the sound and also for offshore areas. Still looking at choppy conditions on the sound with seas building to 4 feet. We could see seas as high as 6 to 9 feet later this evening and also overnight tonight. And tomorrow, it looks like that small craft advisory is also going to be in effect. We are coming up on high tide very late tonight, but with that wind now beginning to move out of the west and northwest later today, coastal flooding is not going to be nearly as much of an issue. However, this morning, it definitely was with that strong southeast wind, but the wind direction is going to be a big player in that. So even though we are approaching high tide very late tonight, that wind is going to be out of the north and west, so we're not expecting as many issues in terms of coastal flooding. We're not going to see that onshore flow. That northwest wind, again, helping to lock in that cooler, drier air. Morning lows Thursday, Friday, into Saturday are going to be at least in the low 40s along the coast. Upper 30s are looking pretty likely north of I-10. We're not anticipating any frost at this point. Still going to be just a little bit too warm for that, but certainly this is going to be one of the bigger cool downs that we've had so far this season. Not lasting forever. Signs are already showing that by this time next week we'll start to see a little bit more of a warm up just before Thanksgiving. Still need to fine tune the forecast at this time for Thanksgiving and for Black Friday, but it does look like at least the couple of days leading up to that are going to be a little bit warmer and possibly a little bit more humid. But safe to say that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you can wear your fall wardrobe. And if you're going to be out and about early in the mornings, you may need a thicker jacket, especially since we're just not used to it at this point. And again, high temperatures Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the mid 60s. That's actually a little bit below average for this time of the year, but we're going to be right back into that warmer air by Monday and Tuesday of next week, with temperatures topping out in the upper 70s. Rain chances from here on out pretty much looking slim to none. With that lower humidity, it's really going to be hard to get much rain at all. So nothing but sunshine expected tomorrow, Thursday, and into Friday. But despite seeing the sunshine, we're still only warming up into the 60s heading into the first part of the weekend. Speaking of the weekend, it is looking beautiful for any plans to be outside. A little bit warmer by Sunday with highs back into the low 70s. I'm not expecting the humidity to be too high on Sunday, but by Monday and Tuesday of next week, it may start to creep back up just a little bit. So now that we are past the rain today, a lot to look forward to in terms of our weather. Finally feeling more like fall, a little bit more like the holidays by the end of the week. Again, if you have any plans to spend some time outside, it's going to be fantastic. Just a heads up though that tomorrow it is going to be very breezy or windy throughout the day, but by Thursday and Friday the wind should be relaxing just a little bit more. So we will have another forecast update coming up today at 4 o'clock during our 4 o'clock show. You can join me there. Later in the evening, our Chief Meteorologist Eric Johnson will have the latest during our late night newscast or later evening newscast. So for now, I am going to be signing off, and hopefully you can look forward to this cooler, drier weather up ahead throughout the rest of the week.